Welcome to the second lecture of Ateneo Breakthroughs. Please take your
blind spots, and that can be used responsibly. That is especially true for computer vision, where the goal is to turn images and video into accurate information that people can act on. This brings us to today's lecture, Smarter Sight, Building Intelligent Visual Systems for Public Good. Our speaker, Dr. Patricia Angela Abu, Pai to her friends, works in computer vision and machine learning with research interests that include image processing and biomedical imaging. She is Associate Professor and Chair of the Department of Information Systems and Computer Science in the School of Science and Engineering here in this university. She leads the Ateneo Laboratory for Intelligent Visual Environments with the acronym ALIVE. The lab develops intelligent visual systems that connect technical work with real needs in health-related imaging, mobility and traffic environments, and other public settings where better detection and interpretation can support better decisions. And as we listen to her talk this afternoon, I invite you to keep a practical question in mind. What does it take to make a machine see in a way that is accurate, robust, and useful in the real world? And how do we build the teams and research environments to do that work well? Dr. Pai, thank you for being with us this afternoon. We are honored to be learning from you today. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. Can you hear me clearly? Or joining us online. Thank you to Dr. June Aguilar for the generous introduction and for the invitation to share the work of a live group today. Thank you as well to Doc Ines for graciously hosting this session, and to our colleagues from URC, UMCO, and DITS for all of the careful preparation and arrangements that made this event possible. Standing here, so given all of these slides, for someone who comes from an engineering and technical background, I'm more used to working quietly behind the scenes in the laboratory with the students, with my colleagues of the same interest, deeply immersed in our thing, which I will show you later. So this moment feels both unfamiliar and reassuring. So moments like this gives the rare opportunity for me to pause, look back, and appreciate what has been built by our research labs, and something we often overlook in the busy day of our daily lives. Situations like these and events like these also reminds me that research does not exist only inside laboratories. It truly comes alive when we connect it with real life, to real people and to real needs. And in many ways, this is exactly what ALIVE stands for, the Ateneo Laboratory for Intelligent Visual Environments, a space where ideas, technology, and purpose can come alive. So today, I don't just stand here to talk about research. I stand here on behalf of a community that believes technology should ultimately serve people. And I will begin by taking you to something very ordinary. So when I was asked to give this lecture, one of the brainstorming questions was, when did it all started? What inspired you to do this and that? So I think the oldest and the oldest situation, or the farthest that I can recall, was when I was back in high school. So my mom is driving, so we're attending a wedding somewhere in Shaw, EDSA, and then the venue and the reception is actually in Mega Mall. So that was during the late 90s. And that was actually not our area. We're from Fairview. So somewhere in Shaw and in Mandaluyong is not really, we don't know the culture and the movement of vehicles in the area. So when we were looking for a parking space, of course, that was hell during that time. So it took us time. We're taking our chances, and we're just trying to expect someone who's gonna leave. So there's even an instance wherein, tatayo na ba ako doon, Mami? Kasi I'm going to go down and try to grab one slot because someone is actually leaving. So, but we didn't ended up doing that. But here, we do have, so we can see here that it's still evident up to this moment. So, let me just recall. Nakapark din naman pala kami. nakapark din kami. And when we get into the reception, halos tapos na lahat kumain. So during that time, it's not really there's this long program and then you get the dinner there. So during that time, it's like usually just a quick program and then you take a dinner. Pagdating namin, nag-abot na lang kami ng regalo and that's it. Okay, so, and this is one post from Top Gear way back in 2024. So it still shows the same scenario. And in the article, it also mentioned that it's trying to repost it, and it was already posted in 2023. So I think it's still a situation that many of us are trying to encounter right now. So another situation, my husband drives about 3.5 hours every day, back and forth from Marikina to Pasay, because he's in the logistics industry. So that's roughly 45 kilometers a day. But what really adds up isn't the distance, but it's actually the time. One evening during a family conversation about prioritizing our time for our kids and within the family, more dinners together, slower mornings without rushing, and more unhurried conversations, more presence, I did the simple math. So I told him, if you continue to work in the company until you turn 60, your retirement age, you would be spending about 1.5 years of your working life on the road. And 1.5 years is not just days or months or years. So imagine what that means in missed moments in physical strain, and also in mental fatigue. So many families leave this reality every single day. I consider myself fortunate already that my own travel time is about half of his, but even half of this still makes you think. So let me ask you, if you were given the chance to cut your travel time in half, what would you do with the extra time? So because sometimes the biggest problems are hiding in our most ordinary routines. So let me ask you another question. How long is your daily travel time? Anyone here is taking about 3 hours? From the audience, maybe? Maybe less than an hour? It's good, with the less than an hour. So, and we all know the traffic inside campus as well. So when did this become normal to us? When did traffic become something we simply adjust ourselves to? So we leave early, we buffer more time, we wake up earlier. Our measure of travel isn't based on how long the trip should take. It's based on how much delay we expect from the trip. So, and yes, thank you to Google Maps, we now estimate travel time more accurately than ever, which tells us something more important. When we see better, we plan better. So, but still, we don't estimate arrival by distance, we estimate it by congestion. And when we look for parking, we don't choose or receive a specific slot to park. We calculate our chances. How long will we circle into our parking slots in order for us to get a parking space? Which route gives better odds? Will someone leave just in time? Right? So we think if it's already end of class time, you try to arrive during that time because some are leaving. So we strategize around probabilities. For commuters, the goal isn't just arrival, it's also survival. So we plan not to be late for work, for class, for meetings, for flights. And if congestion were a fixed law, as if congestion were a fixed law of nature. Traffic conversations have become a routine. We talk about it, we complain about it. Has it become so normal that we even take pride in how well we manage around it? But rarely does the conversation move towards a meaningful action. Instead, the solution becomes, hey guys, traffic sa JSEC, traffic papalabas ng 2.9. Stay muna kayo dyan and do some work that is more productive. Right? So we adjust, we deal with traffic. What if we could understand it? What if we could see patterns in congestion before they become a gridlock? What if intersections could see vehicle flow in real time? What if systems could detect bottlenecks as they form? What if parking availability could be predicted instead of guessed? This is where intelligent visual systems come in. Systems that don't just record what is happening, but interpret it. Systems that don't just capture images, but extract meaning from them. So in simple terms, we teach machines to see so that we as humans can decide better. Because sometimes solving what feels normal begins with learning to see it differently. And this is where intelligent visual systems come in. Before I go further, let me do something important. Computer vision and machine learning can sound very technical, very niche. Let me try to bring this technology down to the ground and make it relatable. Even if you don't come from computer science or engineering background, let's take a very simple example. Let's talk about dogs and cats. Imagine teaching a toddler the difference between a dog and a cat. So I have a photo of my son here walking our dog. When children are young, we point and say, hey, there's a dog, there's a cat, there's a dog, cat. So you have your 2-year-old or your 3-year-old pinsan, son, pamangkin, right? And at first, they will be confused, right? But after seeing a few samples, they begin to notice patterns. 4 legs, fur, tail, shape, face, structure. So even the dog has a different color or a size or has a short tail instead of a long one. Whether it's a Shih Tzu, a Golden Retriever, or an Aspen, the child recognizes it as a dog. Okay. Because the child has learned the features that define it. That's human intelligence. Now let's think about numbers. 1, 2, 3, until 9. We teach children these digits, not just one font, but many different sizes, different handwriting styles. So even if a 1 looks like a 7, or a 3 resembles an 8. So of course, if you're also reading handwriting, handwritten papers, you will see you will be confused on these numbers. They actually understand the pattern. So humans can learn from very few examples. Machines cannot. To teach a machine learning recognize a dog or a number or a cat, we don't show 10 images. We show thousands, sometimes millions. So the millions of images that of different angles, different lighting, different backgrounds, we are training it to detect patterns. And even then, machines struggle. So if a dog is partially hidden, so in this case, camera focus is on the sunglasses and the dog is in the background. So if you only see the parts of its head and an eye, a human can infer the rest. So it's a dog. Right? Even if it's blurred out in the background and the camera is focused on the eyeglasses. A machine needs to be trained to handle that uncertainty. And this is exactly the same challenge we face in real-world applications. Distinguishing traffic signs that look similar, categorizing vehicle types from different angles, detecting missing teeth in X-rays, identifying tumors in brain MRI scans, identifying which part of the human bone is a particular bone fragment. Machine learning isn't magic, it is pattern recognition at its scale. Let me introduce you to one of Alive's ongoing project. This is funded by URC, and it's actually in partnership with SEEDS and CSMO. So we have VPROBE. VPROBE stands for Vehicle and Pedestrian Real-Time Observation and Behavioral Evaluation for ADMU Campus Gateway. In simple terms, it uses video feeds to understand how vehicles and people move through space, not just to observe, but also to extract patterns. Because once we can measure flow clearly, we can begin to improve it. Before a system can understand congestion, it must first recognize what it is seeing. So we train it and categorize vehicles. We have motorcycles, sedans, SUVs, bus, trucks. So we follow the standard categorization of vehicles from the DPWH. But real life is not clean. There are edge cases. For this case, a bike versus a motorcycle, a van that looks like a truck, a leaf vacuum street cleaner that was not part of the vehicle categories, the machine has been trained. So there's a lot of factors to consider. Sometimes vehicles also overlap. Sometimes a truck blocks half of a motorcycle. For this case in the photo, a truck is blocked by the guard station in gate 2. Remember our dog example? Seeing just part of its head, sometimes objects are partially occluded. Thus the occlusion change and is a computer vision problem, which can also can be categorized to light occlusion, medium, or heavy occluded objects. Sometimes lighting changes as well. Sometimes it's rainy, sometimes it's sunny. Sometimes it's daytime, and there's also nighttime. So all of these things must be considered. This is the same challenge when environment change and weather changes. The system must learn to recognize vehicles and pedestrians even when visibility is imperfect. Have you seen the system here? So we have a sample video of a system detecting vehicles in exiting gate 2.9. It detects specifically the lanes exiting 2.9 and not those going to Rizal Library or in Katipunan Avenue, because that's how the model was actually trained, to detect exiting vehicles. Each bounding box represents a detected object. Play it again. I'll try to play it again. And you'll notice here, you'll notice numbers. Those are confidence levels. That's the system saying, I am 90% confident that this is a car. I am 89% confident this is a tricycle. 65% confident this is a motorcycle. So the farther the vehicle is, the lower is the confidence level, because it also cannot see the features of the vehicle that clearly. So this is not certainty, this is probability. Just like when we circle parking lot calculations, our chances. Now we look at this graph and the videos. Let me play one. So we have two videos. The one on the left is the one entering gate 3. On the right side, we have added vehicle categorization and counting. Okay. So we have cars, 3. We have motorcycle in green, red, blue. We have to blur it so that we can blur the plate numbers. So we have the vehicle count. So we also have those in exiting gate 3.2. In the video on the right, we have already added a level of service. So it already measures congestion. So in the left side video a while ago, that just counts cars and categorizes them. So that's another learning for the system. So now we compute, we try to consider the volume that can be occupied by the street. Now we consider that one for the volume estimation. So in this graph, this shows vehicle counts from 9 a.m. to 6 a.m. Okay. Notice the spike before the hours. This is 6:30. This is 6 to 6:30 and 7 a.m. Okay. So you'll notice the increase in number of vehicle counts entering the campus during that time. Entry increases here, and this is no longer anecdotal. This is measurable, this is actionable. So instead of saying traffic seems to be heavy today, okay, we can already say that there is a 28% increase in vehicle entry between 6:30 to 7, for example. And once we can quantify patterns, we can simulate options for improvements. Adjust gate timing, staggered scheduled, optimized flow design. We can measure it if the adjustment is indeed an improvement. Do you notice anything in the graph? So green line is the one entering the campus, and the red bars are the one exiting. It's kind of higher than the green one. This is one of the results from the initial simulations. So why is it multiplying for the red bars? It's because they're stopped in the gates, and the way we're counting the vehicles is still treated per frame. So that's why it's counting it multiple times. So there's a multiplier for the red ones. So that's the next problem that the team tried to resolve. So the next improvement in our model actually tried to track the vehicles. So we're now treating the vehicles as the same vehicle in the next frame, which is another computer vision problem. So in this case, there are small texts over here that shows the ID number of the vehicle. So now there's an improvement for tracking. Okay. Tracking the vehicles so we don't multiply the counting anymore. It's treated as one car all throughout the video, the time that it is seen on the frame. So we have green boxes, those are cars. We have the pink ones, the vans, and we also have a level of service. Let me try to play this and show one instance we're in. It's having a confusion. Yeah, that's running. The light is stopped. Okay. So you will see here our level of service is indicated we indicated it letters A to F, F heaviest. So here you will see it's on LOSE. Okay. When the traffic lights will start to, when we have the green lights and it will start to move, therefore, we hope to have, to see here a lighter traffic, and we'll have an LOS that is A, B, or C. That's how long the traffic light. Okay, notice this one. It's changing from pink and green, So it's pretty similar with how machines are confused with 1 and 7. So this vehicle is being confused, the model is actually confused, detecting it as either a car or a van. So you will see it blinking from pink to green and changing all throughout. Okay. So we have an LOS again of C and D. Okay. Let's try to move it to somewhere that is of lighter traffic. Here you will see an LOS of A. We only have one vehicle. So the computation is actually through volume computation. So we also have vehicle counts here. So just for the span of 10 minutes or less, then we already have a total of 243 vehicles that were counted. There might be some errors already. That's something that we're exploring. If it's trying to switch from one identity to another for a vehicle. That's also a challenge in computer vision. Okay. So the VPRO project is vehicles and pedestrians. So we'll show you one that does that for pedestrian. We have this from EDSA Walk, and the model is trained to detect people that's walking in the area. So if you will see they're light, moderate, and heavy, we're actually trying to explore occlusion levels. So if it's light, it's lightly occluded, moderately occluded is somewhere about 50%, and the heavy occluded somewhere 80%. So you will see that moderate and heavy occluded people on the frame are actually still being detected by the model. So the more occluded it is, the more challenging it is for the model to actually identify a particular model. One other study that we have is on traffic signs. So in the Philippines, you know, the traffic signs are usually like have dusts covered. So there are trees like covering the traffic signs. So there are occlusions. That makes it harder for systems and machines to actually detect. Okay. So here we have more examples of our testing from the lab. Okay, let's start. The one in the left, we did try traffic sign detection, tested it in Marikina Expressway, so that's 60, this one 60, and there's a confidence level as well, that's 80. Okay. So these are systems that actually help for assistive driving. So of course, when you're a new driver, you cannot see all of the traffic signs yet, then we use our system to actually assist you on reading and identifying traffic signs. Okay. We also have one here. During nighttime, because we're trying to test it on daytime and also nighttime. So we wanted to model our machines to be robust in detecting different lighting conditions. This one is on campus, and there's a pedestrian detection. This one is a tricycle. So it's not detecting the vehicles, it's detecting pedestrians. So there's also a small one here. So those are the challenges that we have in computer vision. First, if there's occlusion, that's one. Second is the lighting changes, and also the depth. If it's nearer in the camera, then it sees more features, so it's more confident in terms of its categorization. If it goes farther, it becomes a small object, and that's another computer science problem, small object detection. Okay. And here's another application that one of our groups are working on is actually road damage detection. So from what we know from DPWH, they're actually manually checking for cracks on the roads and record the coordinates. So imagine doing that one for the entire Philippines and also on the national roads. So I think this is where intelligent systems can actually contribute. So far, we've seen how machines can detect vehicles and measure congestion. But traffic is only one type of pattern. What if the pattern is not vehicles, but teeth? What if the images is not a CCTV feed, but a medical scan? Okay. The principle is the same. There's pattern recognition. In our collaboration with our partners in Taiwan, both academe and also medical dentists, including dentists from Changgung Hospital, we worked on analyzing dental X-ray images. At first glance, this looked like a typical dental scan. But to an intelligent system, this is a field of patterns. Tooth structure, bone density, spacing, anomalies. We trained the model to identify, for this case, missing teeth and teeth count, which is a tedious work that's also being done by our dentists. So missing teeth, teeth count, numbering them, abnormal formations, possible areas for concerns. Okay. But let me emphasize something very important. These systems assist dentists. They do not replace clinical judgment. There's always professional validation, always human approval. So let me give you a concrete example from a biomedical engineering work. So we have dental radiographs. In dentistry, tooth numbering is actually essential. Okay. Sometimes X-rays, we call it pariepical X-rays, sometimes slightly rotated, sometimes teeth are missing, sometimes there is extensive crown damage, so the structure is not always complete. And this is where it connects to our earlier analogy, remembering how a handwritten 1 and sometimes a 7 look like. Okay. So here are some other samples of biomedical images that we're using in the laboratory, so they are annotated this way. So we have teeth, we have bone metastasis or bone cancer images, we have skin lesion, skin cancer dataset, and we also have brain tumor dataset. So this is our first version of the Alive Medical Diagnostics platform with 2 models, which is also another project funded by URC. So we'll see here our logging into our platform. So we do have a lot of data sets and medical imaging models already in the laboratory. So our next step is actually to consolidate it and have a platform to actually use our models. So here we have already 2 models that are available, the brain MRI and white blood cells count. So first we'll choose which model we're going to do. If it's a CT scan, then we try to upload our image and run it there. Here is our result with showing the brain tumor location. So we can have in the platform different models to test it on and to improve it on. This is an example of the model trying to count white blood cells, and there are 5 different categories for the white blood cells. So we can actually toggle between those 5 to show the counts for this. So in brain MRI, the system learns to detect irregular tissue patterns. In blood cells images, it learns to count and classify cells. But unlike traffic, here the stakes are human health, which means accuracy, validation, and oversight become even more critical. We are now not automating medicine, we are augmenting tedious and meticulous process of analysis on medical images. Let me now take you somewhere unexpected. From traffic to medicine, we go to archaeology. In one of our collaborations with Traces Lab, headed by Dr. Alfred Polik, and our archaeology partners, led by Doc Polik and also Doc Tanya, is part of this group. We do have a sandbox project in its 2nd year already, right now. I remember being told about the moment during the excavation, an object was partially buried in soil. Only a small surface was visible. An archaeologist carefully brushed away the dirt, slowly and patiently, and at some point, they had to decide when do they stop brushing. Okay. Because if you brush too little, you miss the object. If you brush too much, you risk damaging something that has survived hundreds of years or even thousands of years. So the decision is not random, it's based on experience of our archaeologists, on pattern recognition, on years of training the eye to detect subtle changes in texture, color, and material. That question fascinated me. How do they do it? So this is just one example wherein we already have the sample on the dirt. Okay? You see this white, but there's this one artifact that looks like the same color as that of the dirt. So the first thing that we do here is actually to segment. Even automating the segmentation process is already a challenge in computer vision. So when we were working on the project, we already said this is a very challenging one because you're brushing it off. If it's same color as the dirt, it's really very challenging to teach the machine how archaeologists actually identify if there's already an object on the dirt. Okay. The other one is bone fragments identification. We work closely with Dr. Tanya Oldin, a biological anthropologist. She would examine bone fragments, sometimes small, irregular pieces, and she could tell us this is part of a femur, this is cranial, this belongs to the upper limb. And how would we know that? We're computer scientists. We need the expert to explain that to us. If we are to train our machine, we need to learn from Dr. Tanya. How does she do it? If you want to train the machine to classify bone fragments the way Dr. Tanya does it, we need to learn from her. So acquiring the right images, defining specifications, lighting angle resolution, annotating each fragment carefully, listing down the features she considered, curvature, texture, density, structural problems, patterns, because to train a machine to see like an expert, like Doc Tanya, we must first understand how the expert sees it. Here, there's one sample, and we ended up taking 6 different sides of the bone, considering the features that Doc Tanya is actually considering to identify which part of the human bone is that particular fragment. So just like in dentistry, just like in traffic, the algorithm is not the starting point, the expert is the starting point. Machine learning does not replace our experts, it actually scales it. In traffic is not just an inconvenience, it is a silent drain of time, money, health, and the environment. In medicine, a delayed diagnosis can mean the difference between early care and irreversible damage. In archaeology, a misidentified fragment can mean the loss of an irreplaceable history. Okay. So none of that, what I have shown and demoed here in front of you, was built alone. Alive did not begin as a laboratory. It began with my first graduate student advisee who is interested in skin lesion and skin cancer detection, reaching out to me to be his graduate thesis advisor a decade ago. It slowly progressed to a small table discussion, a few students, a whiteboard in our machines, a lot of curiosity with a common interest. There were proposal rejections, limited computing resources. Growth was actually not linear. There were moments of doubt, moments of waiting, moments of recalibrating, moments of reviewing if our proposal actually did matter. Okay. Collaborating more intentionally, because when we see clearly, we decide better. When we measure responsibility, we design better. When we collaborate intentionally, we build systems that serve people. There was one article that was featured, the dental X-ray paper that I have was actually featured by URC before, and I was interviewed by media. One of the questions was, why in dentistry? Can we only just do machine learning and AI in dentistry? Actually, no. Okay? It so happened that we have a group of dentists who are open to explore and willing to work with us to train our machine. We cannot train our machines without the data sets that were annotated by our dentists. So it really is a collaborative work. When we collaborate intentionally, we build systems that actually will serve people and make use of the machines for the better good. So earlier, I asked, when did traffic become normal? And maybe the better question is, what other patterns have we quietly accepted as normal, simply because we haven't examined them closely enough? What are these tedious tasks that we can actually automate and make use of machine learning technologies to use it as an advantage? So with other patterns, we have quietly accepted as normal simply because we haven't examined them closely enough. Smarter Sight is not only about cameras and algorithms, it is about discovering new perspectives. It is about choosing not to accept inefficiency as destiny. It is about asking better questions, seeing clearer patterns, and designing more responsibly. Alive began at a small table, discussions. It grew because people believed that even niche technologies could contribute in small but meaningful ways to real communities. It's also good to note that with our collaborators, they do understand and they're open that it's not magic that once they give us their data set, we already have a model that's working perfectly the way experts do. So it takes time. And that belief continues to actually guide us that these machines can actually help us serve for the better good. Sometimes solving what feels normal begins with learning to see it differently. So I would like to acknowledge our Alive research team. We were once RAs in the same project when we were still taking our master's degree. I have my co-lead with me here, Doc Happy Alampay, and we have also Josh Ong as this advisor. Okay. So we were all part of a CITAS project team before doing microscopy level computer vision analysis on banana microscopic images. And I would like to also thank our students. So they were the ones who actually did the demos that we have presented a while ago. So it's growing. And we already have like 18 groups right now in the lab preparing for their midterms. I want to acknowledge my academic and research mentors and my life mentors, my mom, Dr. Arsol Reyes, and Dr. Rina Estuar, who the director of Ateneo Center for Computing Competency and Research, who provided not only mentorship, but also the avenue and sandbox space where Alive was able to grow during its early years. I would also like to thank my Alive co-leader, Doc Happy, my colleagues in DISCs, and of course, the Alive team, our students, researchers, and also our panel members, not only here in the department, but also our international academic friends who are sharing their expertise to actually improve our models, and also to all our collaborators. To all our collaborators, we have SEED, CSMO, SOSE, ARISE, URC. Hopefully I don't forget anyone there. And I think that will be it. And thank you, everyone. I hope that's something that you have learned. Thank you.
Once again, it's all right. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll now open the floor for questions. But in order to do that, we would like to request those who want to ask questions to approach any of the two mics on either side of this room. And I believe you are on Zoom as well, so we might have full-order questions. So, Dr. Abu, thank you very much for your presentation. I think we have gotten a story of collaboration as well as teaching a machine
Okay then. Aha, here we go. The mic is finally working. So, Dr. Abu, my strange question is this. When we first started conceptualizing this talk, we wanted to talk about the process of creating this laboratory. And I found out just now that it took a decade. It was a decade in the making of table talks, discussions, collaboration, friends, colleagues, a long story. What is or what was the biggest challenge, or if not, surprise, in making this laboratory what it is today?
Okay. Interesting question. You made me think again after me thinking about what to present. The Alive Lab, the members of the Alive Lab, me and Doc Happy Alampay, actually had our thesis under the Theoretical Algorithms Laboratory. So it was a spin-off from that lab. So it's actually initiated by faculty members who are interested on a specific application. So because we already have a more specific application in mind, and it's making use of images and videos. So of course we're doing what every researcher is doing, producing papers, presenting in conferences. So I think what mattered already is like when we were already presenting papers and internationally, and so all of our students are actually also presenting and also winning awards on best presenter and best paper. And then now what's next, right? So we'll just be doing paper presentations. How can we actually make our models be of use and of good use and to where? So that's actually one of the turning points from the laboratory as well. Most of the students would want to solve a particular problem, and we would solve it on our own. Okay. As computer scientists, we're like, okay, let's have this option. You simulate this, you do this, so that we'll see if that is effective or not. And we do it in our labs. Okay. So when we were trying to reach out to some offices that might not be an interest to them, okay, so we cannot actually, we're having a challenge deploying our models and finding a partner who is willing to work with us on the deployment and test our models. So I think what's surprising is that was a change. So what happened is that we reached out to certain offices to actually already ask what they need to do. So it's no longer just what we wanted to do in the lab and play around in the lab, but actually learning from other organizations and offices on what is really needed. And that's how we focused. That's how we decided to focus on certain applications. Okay, so that's the one that they need. So let's do that, and let's see how we can help a particular office. So that's why we did have our current projects right now in collaboration with these partners.
Okay, so thank you. And from what I gather, you have been helping a lot of offices here in Ateneo and outside. Okay, so here's a question, if no one else is ready to ask. Here's a question that may or may not infringe on copyright, but I want to ask, what other offices or what other places or agencies have already come to you, aside from the medical center, have already come to you with ideas or questions or interest in your research, if it's all right to ask?
We do have some from the military who actually consulted us on using automatic detection. We were working with road damage detection, but we really didn't have the connection yet. But we are reaching out to the office to get some data. But I think those two, and Seeds and Sustainability Office, and also the Campus Safety Office here.
Cool, cool. So, okay, what agency or office do you dream of working with? Just in case they're on Zoom. Okay, just in case they're on Zoom. Go ahead.
I think we really focus on the traffic flow inside campus. So that's what we really targeted on. So if we can already contribute to that level, then that's I think a contributing one coming from the department to the university. So I think if we can also help other offices, it it's really also knowing what is needed by these other organizations and offices because they are the experts on those. If there's something that makes them feel this is too repetitive for them to do, maybe that's something that we can discuss. So we can automate things, but it's actually really a collaborative work because we cannot guess. That's how we were doing it before. We're guessing we can help this way, but it actually is not for the other office. So I think it's really important that we hear from those who are open to explore automating and using machines to help improve their processes and the way they work in their offices.
Okay. And I like how you mentioned that this is about the humans. Okay, it's about what humans need rather than what the laboratory can provide or what the laboratory wants to do. And I like that you centered it in the human experience, what people really need. And all of this sounds so humanized. It's not just a machine learning, it's collaboration among many different humans. If you could teach a course on how to do collaboration, what is the first or maybe the biggest lesson that you would teach students on how to collaborate?
Big question.
I'm sorry, this is sounding like a pageant question. Told you guys you have to make your own questions.
like I've shared a while ago, I'm really get used to just working in the laboratory, and collaborative work is really one of the challenges and turning point and team points to do. If we won't do the collaboration, if we don't go out from our laboratory, then this won't be of help, no, to society. So I think in collaboration, it's really being open and trying to find the most suitable office that we can work with. And of course, it's not only that, they should also be open to exploring this one because of the work that needs to be done. For the work with Doc Tanya, they reached out to us on that one. There's openness to exploring how we can use machine learning to actually help their community or group of archaeologists.
Okay, thank you. So openness, exploring very much the characteristics of science and scientists in general, to keep asking questions, to want to know more. Would anyone like to ask a question from our audience? Please go ahead and approach the mic on the aisle. Okay, if you'd like, I could turn this into a whole talk show. Hold on.
Hi. Good afternoon po. Thank you for the talk. I'm Paolo from the UP Intelligence Systems Center, so very aligned dito sa talk. My question regarding the talk is, na-mention you earlier the challenges when it comes to machine learning in object recognition, such as needing a lot of data and challenges with occlusions in objects. So I guess my question is, aside from needing a lot of data points and dealing with occlusion, were there any challenges or barriers that came up that you didn't expect that you would encounter when it comes to teaching machines in object recognition? Kasi ang nag-stick out sa akin kanina, yung sa V-probe, we had a van and it was constantly flipping between a van and a car. So hindi siya sure. So I was wondering if there were other barriers such as that na hindi expected until i-deploy niyo na siya. So yun lang po, thank you.
Okay, so the unexpected challenges, thank you, during deployment. Oh, that's a good question, thank you. Dr. Abu?
Thank you for that question. So I think that's first challenge is really the categorizing. Okay, categorizing vehicles. So inside campus of Ateneo, we also have Egypt, which is not Egypt electronic Jeep, which is not part of the categories of the DPWH. So I think that's also one thing that we'll have to decide what category we're going to place it on. Because we're also thinking about scalability and also expanding it outside of the campus. So of course, when we go out of the campus, when we try to use our models there, that will be another problem to solve, because there will be other vehicles like e-bikes and so that our models weren't trained to categorize. And second was actually the counting of the cars. It came out during the simulations already when we first showed the count of cars that, oh, it's actually counting per frame. And that's another thing that the team will need to address, to track each vehicle and identify that it's the same vehicle coming from this side of the frame and going out on the other side of the frame. I think those are the computer science problems that actually came out, that we realized and found out when we were already going through the projects in the simulations. But actually there's also another problem that is not really the computer science part of it. It's really running the models in the cloud. Of course, we still don't have the resources during that time. We don't have our own GPUs and CPUs yet. We're using it on the cloud. And of course, we don't have the subscriptions as well. So what we do in the lab is actually cut them by parts of processing into the cloud for the free subscription. So that's on the side. But we'll sort it out and find our own ways to actually resolve that by reducing the data set and so. But actually, if we reduce the data set, then that also affects the results later on for the students. So I think our research work is actually aligned with the thesis, 3-semester thesis of our students. So we really need to balance the simulation time, our resources, and make sure that they still have their output and answer their research questions by the end of their thesis year. So I think those are some of the challenges that we had along the way. It's really discovering new problems while they presenting their updates. Oh, I try to do this and try to do that. But it is also during those situations wherein we try to learn and have new insights na, oh, that's nice. We were able to do that kind of output. Now we already have a tracker. Now we can already count. And that's just the start of it. So we're looking forward to more simulations that we'll have that will be really more contributory to studying and exploring and learning the traffic flow inside campus. And we're just talking about inside campus. Once we go out of campus, now we're trying to increase the complexity of the problem by not only counting the entry and exit, but also how it affects Katipunan Avenue and Katipunan Avenue, how it affects inside campus traffic. So there's a lot of surprises along the way, I would say, that we'll have to resolve as researchers. I think that's one thing that we'll really have to do as researchers. And yeah, I think one of the problems really the platform and the resources, the GPU, where we can actually run it. And considering that we're a big laboratory, that's something that will be shared within us. So that's, as head of the laboratory, that's one of the things I've focused on recently for the past years, to really request for project funding to have our GPUs in place. So just this year, we have our new babies and toys in the labs, finally.
New babies, okay. Thank you, Dr. Abu. I hope that answered the question. Okay, so yes, the mics, I believe, are now working. Yes, please go ahead. And so it's not a talk show anymore. Back to the...
Hi, Miss. Hello. I'm sorry. My question po for you po is, what is one piece of advice you would give to future researchers in creating new solutions to the issues our country is still facing po, based from the knowledge you have gained from your experience? Thank you.
Yan ang Miss Universe question. Yes, please go ahead.
Advice. I think at this point, we're still just having our platform put in place. It took 10 years to do that one. We're still not in like the breakthrough that we're trying to the goal and how we envision the lab to have our models deployed. So I think advice to the next researchers. I think ito sinasabi rin namin to for the students who would want to join our lab. Is this really the topic that you would want to work on? Because you will going to work on it day and night, and you're the one doing the simulations. If you're having a group work during your undergraduate, you'll be working in a group, but if you're already move on as graduate students, you'll be working alone. Alone for your projects. That's why we try to actually focus on 2 applications in the laboratory, and so that it's a group work, and it's not only individual work. Because I've experienced the same when I was doing my dissertation. It's only me and my advisor knowing what we're doing, and I don't have someone else to talk to about it. So of course we have members in the lab, so we try to develop that kind of work, I think, in the lab, that even though you're a different topic, you're still under the same project, so we still all work together. So in the vPro project, there are actually 4 groups working on that one. So we meet there. It's not only like meeting or trying to accomplish their thesis work, but it's their contribution to the bigger project of the laboratory. So I think to answer that question is really first knowing if this is a thing that you wanted to do for long, because you need some passion and love to do this always, and also to mentor already the next the students who would want to potentially be researchers. So I think that's the first one, to make sure that this is the area that you would want to work on.
Wow, okay, so yes, passion, and as a former scientist, maybe still scientist myself, I would say you have to make this, your project has to be something that will get you out of bed every morning and make you happy even at night, I guess. Yep. So, but the thing is, no, that sometimes people misinterpret that as, well, you need passion, they'll interpret it as suffering. What is the most fun thing about being a scientist working on a field like this? Miss Earth question po yan.
What is the fun thing? Okay. It's really, well, how do I phrase it? Maybe time to organize it. Fun thing first, I really didn't expect to have this kind of lab that that I'm like leading right now. I was just also a researcher before, trying to write a paper and trying to learn how to write a technical paper, how to present a conference paper. So that was just me thinking during that time. I'm not really envisioning me during that time having my own lab, or even talking here in front of you already and telling our work in the lab. It's just happened naturally. I think one of the big help also is that I do have the mentors to guide me. Because I do have the mentors to really ask, how do I do this? How do I prepare for this activity? So I'm new to this one, how do I do that? Even planning or deciding what the research laboratory name is. So, of course, it's good to hear from those who have already gone through that process of forming laboratories, running projects. So I think that's what is exciting, that made it exciting, that I'm not really envisioning having this kind of lab before, running projects before. Coming from a technical background, I really do not have some project management background to run a project. But I do have the mentors here to actually guide me step by step along the way. So to get me where we are right now. And I think that's what's exciting. If the platform and the models are already being used outside of our laboratory makes it exciting.
Oh, wow, and that is exciting as well, not just for your lab, but I think for the university and for anyone who's using it and who's affiliated with Ateneo to see something breaking through the barriers of the campus walls and helping others. We have a question, I believe. Please, go ahead.
Hello, yes. Hi, ma'am. So, I'm Hans from 3BS Psychology. So, medyo malayo yung field, but I'm actually interested in data science. So, ayun. So, when you were discussing different visual systems, I actually had in mind the concept of AI image detection because parang sobrang hirap na to tell apart nowadays, minsan ng AI-generated versus actual images. And, ayun, medyo twofold yung question ko. So, given that, what would the implications of that be for ensuring the integrity, especially of machine learning training data? Because, ayun, a lot of machine learning relies on the quality of data, and even ngayon, we have such a surplus of AI-generated stuff that it's hard to tell apart what's real and what's not. And in the same way, like going in reverse as well, how do you see the implications of these in possibly AI-generated image detection in the future, siguro, or even the ethics of training such large data pools? Kasi parang, it's kind of ironic that if you do create an AI image detection system, you're kind of also fueling the data that allows AI to be so indistinguishable from real life in the first place. So like, how do you, do you see like a way forward in balancing this? Yes.
Thank you for that question. So I think that's one of the goals of this talk, to actually show how we can use machine learning and AI for the good. So I think by showing good models and contributing to helping society use these AI models, I hope that already helps show how AI and these advanced technologies must be used. So I think that that's one that I think I can control, we can do in the lab, and it's in our control to actually do that one. For the second question, how can we, sorry, I didn't get.
Is it okay if you repeat the question, please?
So I think that's also one of the things that we need to be aware of as the researchers know. We need to know the authenticity of our data set. So yeah, at this point, that's very challenging and hard to distinguish. What more so in the next few months, that it's really very, looks like real images already. I think that's when we need to be very careful. So publicly available data set, there's really a high chance of getting AI-generated images. But if we work with the experts, like with the dentists that I have worked with, and Doc Tanya, for example, those are authentic data sets that really came acquired by our experts. So I think that gives us more reason why we need to have a collaborative work with experts to ensure that the data that we are using to train our models are authentic data and not AI-generated data.
Interesting. All right, thank you. So, thank you. That is an interesting question, especially with AI. We've never mentioned AI till just now. So this is it's interesting that it came and went in that direction. I believe we have another question on this side. Go ahead.
Hello po, I'm Adriel from St. Teresa's College, and medyo related po yung question ko sa kanya in terms of ethics. So given that AI and machine learning play a large role in modern-day research, some members of the general public are still skeptical regarding AI-powered tools and automation, with some fully rejecting the idea due to their belief that these tools trample over human intelligence and labor. If you could give a statement to the members of the general public who are strongly opposed to AI for societal development, what would you say?
How many pageants are we having this afternoon? Okay.
You know, I'm really coming from a technical background, guys. I can give like numbers, percentages, and increase in numbers. So this is really a hard question for me to answer.
That's okay. Based on the best data at this point in time. Give us a minute, hold on.
I think that's also one of my goals in delivering this talk. Um, I decided not to show our journal papers, our results with the tables of accuracy, 95%, 83%, and all of our graphs and all of these insights from our papers were really not referred to during the talk. I think what I really wanted to, to show, no, to the general public is how to make use of this, how machine learning is actually being trained. So I think it's the openness to actually explore it. I think that it's already being tagged as something, because it's being used to generate like false data, or maybe use it for applications that are actually not helpful to the society. So I think by this talk, one of the goals is really to show them, to make them understand what is actually AI, and how do we train machines for that one. If we train it with garbage data, most likely it will not work, and garbage in, garbage out. So there, the goal is really to also give some AI literacy in the background, because I started with machine learning, how to train our models. And it's not even AI yet that I have presented. We just had our platforms put in place to do measures and counting. And by then, if it continually learns by itself, that's when we proceed to AI. I think it's a buzzword right now. Everyone's using it. There are a lot of other people in small groups who have actually reached out to us to can you do AI on this and that? And when we were trying to hear them out, it's actually not even AI yet that they're trying to describe. It's just simple image processing process. So I think before really thinking about AI as something that is disruptive is first learning what it is. So I think that's one of our initiatives also coming from the laboratory and myself, that how can we actually communicate it? How can we actually teach the public basic AI and how it works? So by then, we can make them open to the use of AI, the possibility of using it for public good and not really a disruptive one. So I think that's part of our responsibility as computer scientists to actually teach that in layman's term. So I think, was I able to answer that question already?
I think she was able to answer the question. Thank you. Okay, so we have another question, this time on this side.
Hi, apologies. It's not exactly a question, but I kind of wanted to chime in on the conversation of the question posed earlier.
Oh, good, because we love discussions. We are all scientists. Go ahead.
I think the general public, when they think AI, all they know is large language models and image generation, where in fact, systems and models such as these, image recognition analysis, is, I guess, a facet of AI that the general public isn't exactly aware of. And I think talks like these that showcase the use of machine learning is, as mentioned, very important, because when you ask the general public AI, they know Google Gemini, ChatGPT, but AI or machine learning such as this is, I would argue, more valuable for humanity, and it's not as talked about, and it's not as catchy as the large language models available. So I think when it comes to addressing that, addressing the public in their thoughts on AI when it comes to research, I think it's because of the general slop created by generative AI, but models such as these are trained on reliable data and produce results that, as mentioned earlier, is not there to replace anything, but rather to aid in researchers in analyzing and gathering data. Yun lang po.
Wow, thank you. And I love the points that both of you brought up. This is a tool, it's not a crutch. And I love that this is eliciting discussion because we shouldn't have to shut down the tools. We should aim to understand them. And this is one of the many steps we can take toward understanding the tools. Thank you so much. And yes, please, if you want to use the mic as well to chime in with your opinion, with your view, with your perspectives, please go ahead. We welcome the discussion. I believe we have a question or a discussion point.
Hello. Just out of curiosity, because I like to learn more about these kinds of systems, does the system currently take into account like contextual information for image recognition? Because, like, for example, let's say kahit sa cars, given certain contexts, what we recognize here as like Ford Everest, if, like, let's say we add locational data, like let's say we run the same system in India, a Ford Everest there is called like a Ford Endeavor. So also with the, like, sige, more on like another example, pag sa mga plants, some plant species might look the same, but like if you take it the same in a different location, bakit it's an entirely different species altogether? So is the system able to take into account those kinds of contextual information, and if not, would we be able to teach it that?
Thank you for that question. I'll give one example on the phases of research work that we have done for traffic sign detection. So of course, we always start, if it's a new topic, the easiest way out is like to use a publicly available data set. So the first data set that was used and tested is actually a Germany traffic sign data set. So of course we run it, we simulate it, you also test it on Germany data set because that's the same data set, so you get the test set there as well. So you will have accuracies, high accuracies. And then we also tried China data set, China traffic sign data set. So of course you run it, you simulate it, you test it, you get the high accuracy. In the laboratory, we shifted to already having demo-like presentations to show how it really worked. So one of the videos that I've shown a while ago where it detects in the expressway, that's one of the testing videos of our students. So the first time he tested, the models that were trained in Germany and China dataset, it doesn't detect Philippine traffic signs. So you think of it like the numbers and the fonts. So it's a different font, and the model wasn't trained to detect that, because it was trained to, like, for example, the left turn kind of like curves differently compared to how it is in the Philippine dataset. So that's why there's a need for localized dataset. So that's one of the surprises as well, to add up to the question a while ago, that yeah, we run it, and then along the way when we're now testing it, it doesn't work the way we envision it to work. So now we need the added step of doing data acquisition to have localized data set. So if we want these models to work locally, then we need to have localized data sets, and we need to learn from the place and from the community. Of course, we want to have a more generic one, that it will actually work on Germany, China, and Philippines at the same time. But doing so will train it. For example, you have left turn category. Now you will have 3 left turns category, right? So if the font of 60 is different from the other one at the font 60, then you will also have 360 categories. And that expands the data set and expands the categories. And it expands all of the overlaps in the features. So I think that that's how we do it if you want to make a more globalized model that can actually work on different. That's one thing that we're considering now for the next phase of our project, because now we have our models inside campus. It's fixed CCTV cameras. But when we go out now on our national roads, there are no fixed CCTV cameras there. So if we place a CCTV camera there, plug in our model, we hope that it work right away. So the goal is actually to make it more generic. So that's again a balance of training it and making it more generic. So hopefully when we place this one in Cebu City, for example, we train it in Katipunan, we now move it to Cebu City or Davao City to actually help measure their traffic congestion. So there will be different scenarios, different roads, different positions for the CCTV cameras. So one of the CCTV cameras inside campus is the one in gate 2, wherein the position is actually not from above, but actually on eye level. So the one with the guardhouse. So if you have the vehicles passing through that and it's covering the CCTV camera, then that results to inaccuracies. So all of these things needs to be considered. The more scenarios we consider, the more complex the model and the data set will need to train it. And that will also require additional resources, computing power to work on. Yep. Thank you.
Just a follow-up question lang then. So, parang so to make it learn these things, like we're adding additional, we need more data sets and resources, right? Is there a way like to tweak how the machine learns? Because like it's programmed in one way to learn about, like, let's say it does image recognition, or we're teaching it just like how humans learn things differently. Is there a way to tweak it how it will learn differently? Sorry, medyo clear ba yung question ko?
Actually, the goal is like to train the machine like how human thinks. And our human brain is like a complex thing with a lot of neural networks to consider. So, we're talking about features a while ago. Maybe we can, we do have studies of reducing feature sets, so you will find those overlaps and treat it as one feature, for example. So that will be really very customized on that level. So that's one of the tweaks that we can actually do. So instead of like really adding different categories and just adding them, you see the overlaps so that you reduce the features that needs to be trained for, the machine that needs to be trained for.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
Hello, Dr. Pai. So here's my question. Okay, so are you developing an app using the data patterns you've gathered? Specifically, will you include real-time data from Ateneo vehicles to help people track arrivals and departures? And do you plan to release this app soon if meron na? So yan po yung question.
I think that's a different project from SEED's office and CFSMO office. So from our end, it's really no arrival time within campus. So I think our next step is actually, so we're just counting cars at this phase of our project. So we want to move towards behavioral study. So for example, we do have our dismissal time. How does it affect traffic flow? So I think we're moving into that direction on what affects the congestion. So eventually it will give us more data for options for changes in our traffic routes within campus. But for arrival, you were asking arrival for going in and out of campus. I think if we do have the congestion level measures, that's something that we can give us an information so that you will know how long will it take to go out of campus, for example. Yeah, that will be part of it. I think what we've just shown you are the straightforward counting of cars, we can progress to more information that will be used, no, to analyze the congestion inside campus. We're just showing you in and out in the exit gates. We're not even showing inside campus road congestion. So that's another phase potential phase for the project.
That sounds very promising as an app. Okay, so thank you. Yes, another question.
Yes, good afternoon. This is from our online audience, from Mr. Raymond Tribdino of the Manila Times. Dr. Pai, what do you think of the idea of a human digital twin in medical health? Specifically, a digital twin that's created by a digital map of a person and that can be simulated to get sick or, say, feed it or to operate on or experiment with.
Wow, that is a very Black Mirror episode question. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like Black Mirror. How do we think of having a twin robot AI? So that's when we do our testing, and so I see this in the movies. Let's see. How do we answer that? How do we think about it? Yeah, I think it's very unusual and a normal one. How do I think about it? It's like, as an analogy, I was thinking about it like a Tamagotchi during our time. Because you're saying you're feeding it or so. Well, it depends on the purpose of you using it as a twin robot or AI. No? Yeah, there's a lot of ethics involved, and responsible use of that twin AI robot needs to be considered. So I think there's really a big responsibility that is left to us as users on how we will use these technologies and these equipments. So that's why we really wanted to give more information on how AI works in the general public so that they're more knowledgeable on how it works. And that also gives them the responsibility of how they will use these technologies. Because I'm not sure how many of us how do we actually, it's something that we cannot control. There's a lot of us, they can use it, they can do it, but what we can control is actually giving more information on how it works so that we educate the general public on how these things work so that they will know how they can use it and utilize it to maximize, no, the use of these technologies for particular applications. So I think it really depends on how you will use, how and what you will use the twin AI for. It's a bit complex.
It is, and it's very intriguing, and we should pitch this to Netflix. Okay, so we will have just one last question for the wrap-up, so please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kendrick from UP Intelligence System Center also. So, yung last na question ko lang. So, by the way, interesting talk, very particularly relevant at the same time kasi sa UPISC parang ganyan din yung mga na-encounter din namin na research projects. So, basically sa V-Probe po, do you actually plan to also scale this? Kasi from what I've heard, parang pang Ateneo lang siya from internal. So parang naririnig ko nina parang you also plan to take this from outside na parang you also plan to widen the scope of your research. Tapos how do you actually plan, if ever na may ganung plano, to scale this V-Probe? And have you also been in coordination with other LGU, with the Quezon City LGUs, particularly the barangays here, Loyola Heights, kasi parang if you really are interested in coming up a feasible solution to this project, parang hindi lang enough na, of course, na may ganitong research, but you also have to talk with the coordination with the LGU kasi they're also crucial because sa mga ganitong projects, traffic is a very complex problem that not only involves the academe but also the government itself, yung local government unit. So yun lang po yung tanong ko.
Thank you for that question. I think that's really relevant. Most especially that I've been talking about collaborative work right now and hearing out from the offices that are leading these communities on what the need really is. So what a small step that we did in the laboratory is actually to do a visit from MMDA to see how it goes. Visit the control center and hear out what they need. Because, yeah, we already had an experience of doing and proposing solutions that might not be of interest to other offices. So that's why now our goal is really to meet, hear out, present what we can actually do by showing these demos to show that this can be done, but we also need your help to identify how can this be of good use to the agency, for example. So the visit we did visit MMDA already to show what we do and to also see what they do, what they need in terms, what help do they need in terms of managing traffic or also in Katipunan. Of course, we do have CCTV feeds coming here inside campus. I think the first need of the lab is to really have CCTV feeds as also of the Katipunan Avenue. So we're at the stage of identifying which CCTV locations we will request along Katipunan that will be suitable as a first phase of going out of Ateneo campus to also including Katipunan Avenue already. So second phase, I would say. So identifying locations, because we have already our trained model. If we do, so we're looking for CCTV views that are pretty similar with how we're trained it for and how our models will actually work at this time. Of course, we'll also improve it and make it robust later on. So I think that's where we are right now. We acknowledge, yes, that we need to work with the LGU and also with MMDA and these agencies because they're also the one directing the adjustments and the improvements that are needed by the community.
Thank you. So this afternoon, we learned all about collaboration. We learned all about how to put up a laboratory and keep it running, but also how to ask questions, know what other humans need, make science human, and yes, have and continue to have and hone smarter sight. Everyone, thank you very much for being a part of this event. This is the second in a series of lectures presented by the Ateneo. We hope to see you in all our future lectures. In the meantime, we thank Dr. Patricia Abu. Please give her a round of applause. And this wraps up our talk this afternoon. Before you leave, please be reminded, please stay in your seats. We will have a photo of the audience. Don't worry, your photo will not be uploaded into any server or will be used to train any machines or AI software. May we ask our photographer to please come forward. Please stay in your seats. And you will be identified. Okay. I think we should sit this way. Ay, dyan ka, dyan. Yeah. I guess so. Gusto mo ikaw mag-selfie? Sige, upo ka lang, upo ka lang. Oh, sige, sige, tara. Sige. Oh, sige, dito. Ay, dyan ka. Oh, sige. Ano? Oh, adi, ano gawin natin? Okay. Oh, okay. Could we please ask everyone to just advance much closer to the front rows, please? Thank you. Please jump rows. Thank you. No, okay, fine. Sige, sige. Okay, I guess I have to cue people to smile. Everyone, to the lens, please, and yay. Oh, one more. Okay. Jump shot down. All right, thank you. Thank you once again. Thank you very much, everyone. The refreshments will be served in the Sec A foyer on the left as you exit this room. See you then.